You're about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
We're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I went through life being told I wasn't going to make it. I wasn't going to do it. I was stupid. Even my own family told me, you're not going to make it. You're going to fail out of medical school. You're dumb. It's nice to prove people wrong. And I don't know why I didn't listen to them. Probably because I thought they were crazy. And I was like, you know what? God's speaking to me. God, wants me to do this. I'm going to do it. And I don't care what other people think. And because I had that light and I had that motivation and I had that hope, I was able to accomplish almost everything I've wanted to accomplish. When you look at Fernando Mendoza's story, Heisman Trophy winner, Hoosiers quarterback, who is now going to probably be the number one draft pick. I wonder if that means the Raiders are going to get a new quarterback. I love Geno Smith, but I wonder if that means Fernando Mendoza may be coming to the Raiders. We're a little bit ahead of ourselves. We got to get through Super Bowl, got to get through the draft, but he may be the number one draft pick. But take a look at what he's been through. His mom is suffering from MS, from what I understand. But somebody had posted on Facebook, this is Barclay Mullins. They posted the following. They said 130 schools said no. He led the losingest program in college football history to a national championship anyway. He's a 2-star recruit from Miami. He tried to walk on at his hometown school. They passed. So did FIU, FAU, everyone else. At 17 years old, they said Fernando Mendoza was sitting in his bedroom crying over a silent recruiting inbox after driving to 18 camps with his dad and sending highlights to more than 100 programs, not one offer. So he did have an option at Yale, no scholarship, no NFL path, and smart guy to get into Yale. But everybody told him to be realistic, know your place, be grateful, but he didn't listen. Because Mendoza understood something that most people miss. The worst outcome isn't failing. It's never getting the chance to try. 2 weeks before signing day, 2 weeks before, this was back in 2022, his phone rang. Cal needed a body, one offer. Out of 134 schools, he took it. He arrives as a third-string quarterback, spent a year on the scout team, lost his first 4 starts, got sacked 41 times behind a broken offensive line. But he still got up every time. Good for this kid. I really like this kid. I like this kid a lot. Then Cal brought in a transfer instead of building around him. So Mendoza left the only school that ever said yes. He transfers to Indiana, the, quote, losingest program in college football history. People said it was, quote, career suicide, graveyard program. Nobody wins there. One coach told him something different. Said, I'm going to make you the best Fernando Mendoza possible. That was enough. He wasn't just playing for football. He was playing for his mother, who has been battling multiple sclerosis for 18 years. He said, before every snap he thought of her, my mother is why. So here he is in Indiana. They go 16-0, beat the Canes in the game on Monday. And he's also the Heisman Trophy winner. He brought his Heisman Trophy, and I think he brought actually the championship trophy to church. And he prayed with the priest, and he thanked God for where he is. And he, is a boy of faith. Indiana won their first Big Ten title since 1945. Mendoza threw 41 touchdowns that season. First Cuban American to ever do it. So looking at these rejections, and he was 17 years old when he had to make this decision. He didn't quit. And you see this with kids who later become movie stars or become like, I know what I can do. I know what I'm supposed to do. Look at King David. Nobody would have thought he would have been able to beat Goliath and be the king. Now, look at Jesus. Now, we doubt ourselves. People make us feel this small. I mean, my accomplishments is nowhere near what Mendoza did, but I was trying to start out National Blood Donation Week and get all states on board and help bring blood in. For those of you that saw The Pit, you see why blood is needed. And somebody I was working with basically told me that what I was working on was BS. She says, we have no time for this BS. Did I listen to her? Hell no. But I was in my 40s. But this kid, 17, knew not to listen to the haters. And probably his family and his faith instilled such courage, instilled that confidence for somebody who, without an offensive line, couldn't go anywhere. He was able to, and Indiana. To me, this is a miracle. This is God, God. The story is amazing. They need to do a movie about him. And I'm just blown away at what I was able to see on Monday and what I was able to see this season. I've been following Hoosier football. So, many of you might not be 17. You might be in your 40s or 50s or 60s. And you have been told you can't do something. Screw those people. You only have one life to live. And by the way, you want to do it now. You want to be a singer? You want to be an author? You want to be a podcaster? You want to be a mechanic? Do it. Look at how that lady posts on TikTok a jingle for Dr. Pepper. Tags Dr. Pepper. And so many people noticed it. Even they said, Dr. Pepper, you got to look at this. She made a pretty good jingle for Dr. Pepper. And I love jingles. I really miss that in commercials. You really need jingles. And she makes one. They pay her $2 million and they use it in a commercial. So you don't have to be rich and Nepo baby and children of movie stars. You can make your own dynasty. Just don't give up and don't listen to the haters. 1-877-Doc-Dolly. Don't go away. Hey guys, it's Dr. Dahlia. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Let's face it, guys, we're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's Aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at Aftermath.media. Again, that's Aftermath.media.
Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So we're getting a little bit more detail of this framework as it pertains to Greenland. And there's been a lot of chatter. I don't think we have too much detail, but from what we understand, the reason why everybody's happy, because Trump said everybody's happy with this deal. Well, why is everybody happy? Well, Denmark and Greenland were the two people that were really unhappy. Well, Denmark, from what we understand, still gets to have control. And from what we understand, they are still supporting Greenland at the tune of $600 million. But the U.S., in order to protect the Arctic region and to secure access, they get access now to the entire Arctic region. I think they're also going to also be doing the Golden Dome. And they're going to be able to have full discretion to establish military bases wherever it deems necessary. In this framework, Trump had wanted to have mineral exploration rights. He is, from what I understand, obtaining those exclusively, locked in long term. And China and Russia do not get access to Greenland. So NATO will be involved in that. U.S. will not leave NATO. U.S. threatened to leave NATO. NATO does not want the U.S. to leave. None of the countries in NATO want the U.S. to leave. But the U.S. stays in NATO. And we're being told that this doesn't cost any money at all. So this deal with Greenland, with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, who I believe likes Trump, they get along, now allows them to not have to deal with the tariffs because Trump has withdrawn the trade tariffs. I got to tell you, when he brings up tariffs, people listen, people talk. These other countries don't like tariffs. And so the sale of Greenland may not necessarily be a sale of it. It's America having access. Greenland is a self-governing territory, part of the Kingdom of Denmark. And both Greenland and Denmark said, Greenland is not up for sale. But a concern that the European leaders, which by the way was echoed at Davos, that Russia is a threat. China is a threat to Greenland. This isn't, Trump pulling this out of his retroperitoneum. They agreed that Russia and China need to be blocked from accessing Greenland. Well, who is the best equipped to do that? Denmark? No. The U.S. So this is why, because people ask, how did a deal happen? Did Trump have to pay any money? Did he? From what it sounds like, absolutely not. And so I'm no expert in foreign policy negotiations and, deals, etc. But the art of it, and it might be something I might want to, consider later in my fifth career of my lifetime. The art of any of these deals, and this isn't, anything quoting Trump. I've still never read his books, but it's common sense. When you have two sides, they need to feel like they are winning or getting something out of it. So just like, let's say, looking at Russia and Ukraine. Okay, the original thing they both want is Ukraine wants Russia out and to give the land back that they took. Russia wants the land back, and they don't want to stop. So how do you find peace? How do you find a deal? How can you negotiate with them? Well, one, you need to take a look at, all right, Russia, why is it that you want Ukraine land? Is it that you really want this farmland? Or is it that you want access to this sea? What is it about the land? You can't just say, I just want the land. All right. What is it about that land? And if there was another piece of land that gave you the same access or even better access than what that land could give, or even more minerals, or more, shall we say, goods, that could be better than that Ukrainian piece of land you want? Would that interest you? I mean, what is it exactly that you are fighting for? What is it that you want? So let's look at Trump with Greenland. Why does Trump want Greenland? Does he want it because he just wants to say, look, I own extra land, I get to call it Trump land? Maybe. I think he would like to call it Trump land. Or is it, like what he keeps saying, national security? All right, well then let's kind of now, dissect that out. What do you want from Greenland so that America has better national security? Why do you want Greenland? What would owning Greenland help in terms of America? Well, then we get to have more air bases. If Greenland was ours, we get to put more air bases. We get to access minerals. We get to claim it on the map. All right, well, wait a second. Well, what if we give you air bases? You don't necessarily own Greenland, but what if you do get the air bases and access to the minerals? You okay with that? Without necessarily adding Greenland to the America map? You see, that's the art of negotiation. Figure out what is it that they really, really want. When you fight with your spouse, same thing. Oftentimes, you guys will fight about something that you really isn't what you're fighting about. I mean, there's a decision that somebody made, you're unhappy about it, and so then all of a sudden they leave the seat up, or they don't help you with dishes, and it's, you don't do any, you this. Okay, where exactly is this stemming from? What made you mad at me first? What is it that you want? And I notice I even do this with my husband. My husband will do something he promised to help me with, and then he doesn't, or he procrastinates. And I don't know how to word that to him without starting a fight, because he'll get grumpy. So instead, I bottle it up, and then I get mad at him about something else. And then finally, I'm like, look, this is why I was upset. I don't really care about this. It's, you said you were going to help me with this. It never got done. It procrastinated, and now the problem's worse. Can you help me fix the plumbing or fix this? And then oftentimes like, oh, okay, well then that's easy. Sometimes that's the only way I get him to do stuff. But after we have an argument. But always take that step back. Now, I'm not saying this is the full framework, but from what I'm understanding, America does not buy Greenland, but they basically have the unfettered access that Trump wanted and needed in return for being the entity that's going to protect the Arctic from, Russia or China. That's pretty huge. And apparently it makes everybody happy. I mean, would Greenlanders be affected? I mean, here's the thing. If Greenlanders were using and accessing those minerals, yeah, they could be unhappy. But if they don't have the means to explore the areas that the U.S. wants to explore, and they are getting in return protection, lifelong protection, from somebody stronger than Denmark, maybe many Greenlanders are like, you know what, we're good. Then go at it. You want to dig into the ice that's hundreds of miles away from us? We're fine. Just leave us alone and don't call us American, which I think is an honor, but I get it. They have pride. I don't blame them. So this golden dome, taken from what Israel has with their dome, I believe it's an Iron Dome, that and I was there in Israel when missiles were coming, and before it even needed to have that Iron Dome protect us, these ballistic missiles that were coming in, I was having dinner with my cousin, were luckily thwarted off. But Trump has always been fascinated by what Israel does. And to protect America, he wants a Golden Dome system. And Greenland would be a part of that, having that access over the Arctic. And so he's always said he needs Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And I've said, that sounds cool, just don't take Greenland by force. So if this deal is something where everybody could be happy, I'm very ecstatic. And so, and also, China, from what I understand, has made some deals with Canada. So China's moving in closer and closer to America. So this could be really good. 1-877-Doc-Dolly.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regenerations. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
Guys, welcome back to the Dr. Dahlia Show. The top causes of cancer death in Americans under age 50 fell by 44% in the past 3 decades. That is huge, except for one cancer. That's colorectal cancer. Colorectal cancer is on the rise. Analyzing over 1.2 million deaths from cancer, according to ABC News, between 1990 and 2023, the researchers found that colorectal cancer deaths increased about 1% annually, making it the top cause of cancer death for men and women combined. Now, the number one cause of cancer death is lung cancer, but they said in terms of men and women combined, especially younger men and women combined, we're looking at colon cancer. The findings were published in the peer-reviewed journal JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association. Other leading causes of death, cancer death in people under 50 include lung, leukemia, breast cancer, and those have decreased 6% annually. Dr. William Dahout, an oncologist and the chief science officer of the American Cancer Society, said better treatment is helping people live longer. They say, my sense is if you would break down the improvements, more than half of it is certainly due to better therapies. Also, we've cut back on smoking. So we have fewer people smoking, and smoking interferes with your healthy. They said the decreased tobacco use helped drive a 5.7% annual decline in lung cancer deaths. Back in 1990, lung cancer was not only the leading cause of death in people over 50, but also the leading cause of death in people under 50. Can you imagine people getting lung cancer in their 30s and 40s and 20s? Now it got knocked down to 4th. Although more women were diagnosed with breast cancer over the study period, related deaths decreased by an average 1.4%. Now, in under 50, breast cancer still remains the leading cause of cancer death in younger women. But if you remember what they said earlier, when you combine men and women, colon cancer is still number one of younger. Cervical cancer deaths modestly decreased by about 0.5% per year and remain the third leading cause of cancer-related death in young women. So we have been screening for human papillomavirus. We've been vaccinating for HPV. So I think that has been helping as well. So colorectal cancer, that's on the rise. Individuals at average risk for colon cancer, according to the American Cancer Society, should start screening, and even sooner. If there's a family history, if you have a change in stools, blood. And I am noticing so many patients have rectal bleeding, rectal itching. They'll call up telemedicine and say, I have a hemorrhoid, I need hemorrhoid medication. And like, have you seen the hemorrhoid? Do you feel it? No, but I'm bleeding. Okay, there's a lot of things that could cause bleeding in that area. Have you been examined? No. Another thing, too, is we have many individuals foregoing colon cancer screening by colonoscopy and using these at-home tests like Cologuard. Now, Cologuard is cool. I think being able to do additional screening at your house is fantastic. But it's not cool if you're getting a false negative, meaning you're being told you're clear and you're not. Now the company Cologuard tells you a negative reading doesn't mean you're in the clear. And if you are at higher risk of colon cancer, such as, if you smoke, if you have a family history, if you have a change in stool, if you have blood in your stool, if you have a poor diet, you really need, I would say, much better screening. Let me see if I have some, I've had like 4 colonoscopies, and I've given you guys, kind of the blow by blow on how to, deal with colon cancer or how to do your colonoscopy. They're even saying weight loss drugs might be increasing one's risk for colon cancer now that they're getting very, very constipated. According to the American Cancer Society, we're going to be seeing close to 110,000 new cases of colon cancer, about 46 to 47,000 new cases of rectal cancer. Close to 55,000 people may die this year alone. Black men and women have an increased incidence and could be affected more aggressively at a younger age. I wrote a piece on this, and this is why I don't think you should wait till you're 50. I have been saying for years, if you're black, you need to get screened sooner. And luckily, they've lowered now the screening range to 45. For those of you at higher risk, I would even do screening sooner. Talk to your medical provider. Talk to a GI specialist about different options for screening. What are risk factors? Genetics, family history of colorectal cancer, tobacco use, alcohol use, obesity, poor diet, physical inactivity, diabetes put you at higher risk for colorectal cancer, which is probably why we're also seeing a number. History of precancerous edematous polyps, and history of inflammatory bowel disease. So our screening now dropped from 50 to 45. I agree with. I think we do need to start screening sooner. If you have abdominal pain, weight loss, blood in the stool, abdominal bloating, change in bowel habits, constipation. So why are younger people getting cancer? That's what's blowing people's minds. Now, we understand that older people get cancer. In fact, I've had 2 grandparents die of colon cancer. The only reason why my father didn't have colon cancer is he died of a heart attack first. But I think he would have also had colon cancer. Colon cancer hits me on both sides of the family. But they were older. They were in their 60s. Why are 20-year-olds having colorectal cancer? Now, it could be that the majority of their diet, the average person who's 60 now or 70 still grew up on whole foods. Maybe they got a little bit of takeout. Maybe they grabbed pizza at lunch. But most of us still grew up on single ingredient diets. I remember breakfast cereal was a treat. We could eat Lucky Charms when we visited my grandma, but we had to eat healthy. My parents couldn't afford a lot of the junk food and so we had toast, or we had some cereal, like granola, things like that. They would try to, give us if they thought it was healthier. But many of us who are Gen X or baby boomers, we ate healthier. The younger individuals have grown up on Lego Maego and fast food and all sorts of things that unfortunately were full of preservatives and nitrites and nitrates, which could cause colon cancer. And another thing also is the prevalence of HPV. HPV, human papillomavirus, is the most common STD out there. It's not the most common one reported. Chlamydia is the number one reported because we screen for that and we test it. But a lot of people with HPV, they don't know they have it. And we think it's ubiquitous. And HPV can cause colorectal cancer, either because it's in the vicinity of the vaginal area or due to anal sex. And so when we are seeing younger individuals getting colon cancer, we really need to educate the public on what was in their history that might have increased their risk. Because we need to explain to younger people what they could be at higher risk for. If the individual with colorectal cancer said, I've been eating fast food my whole life, I eat a fast food breakfast meal, I have a frozen dinner for dessert, and I drink, let's say, energy drinks throughout the day, now I have colorectal cancer. Well, we need to know that. So we could tell people that sort of diet might not be very conducive. We already know it's not very conducive. But if we see a higher incidence of people with colorectal cancer because of, shall we say, anal sex, maybe we need to be a little bit more, stress more education on the HPV vaccine and risks that can happen if you are having sex with somebody who could have HPV, and also urge condom use. So we need to do a much better job. You know, there are blood tests, but I get asked, you know, is there any other way to screen for colon cancer without doing a colonoscopy or a sigmoidoscopy? Those are ideal because if we do see a polyp, we could try to remove the polyp so it never turns to cancer. But stool testing, we're getting there where it could pick up, you know, antigens from cancer. But when you're talking about colon cancer, you want to make sure somebody is, you know, really looking for it. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So one of my Twitter followers who listens to the show says his wife is now more adamant about never going to the doctor or the ER after watching The Pit. And one thing that really scared her was, and no spoilers on the TV show, was how people were naked and out there in the open naked. And so that not an invalid concern. A lot of us have concerns, women more than men. I talked to my guy friends about that. They're like, I don't care. I mean, you guys need to declothe me. That's fine. Just, you know, I just make sure I get to hear some of the nice comments. I'm like, please, man. But without any spoilers, the pit takes place in a Pittsburgh ER. And when there are traumas, I was an ER doc in Lake Havasu. It's all hands on deck, and you have to resuscitate somebody. And if you are going to be doing chest compressions or trying to stop bleeding, etc., you have got to remove clothing. And when you are a physician or a medical student or an intern or resident, you're very respectful, you're very professional, but you got to save the person's life. And in America, we're very clothed. We're very concerned about nudity. And, in other countries, they could be topless. Isn't it in Scotland where you don't even wear underwear under your kilts or whatever? But we're very, very clothed, and but medicine and saving a life, it has no boundaries. It has no societal. We have to heal you. We have to, protect you, and we have to do what we have to do. And so I know many people are concerned about when you hear these doctors, some of whom have sexually assaulted, such as the women's gymnastics team or whatever. And people feel, how are they then professional when we're undressed in front of them? And because what people do and how people get through a medical exam is they believe that the doctor doesn't care. Whether it is a boobie, whether it's a penis, whether it's a nose, whether it's a toe, it's a body part. Okay, I don't look at it as, I'm looking at your genitalia. No, I'm going to provide privacy if we are doing a pelvic exam. But I have delivered so many babies that I'm concentrating on the baby. I'm not concentrating on, anything else. And so people feel like, if that's what the doctor's doing, the doctor's focusing, and they are. Yes, do you have some idiots out there? And sadly, they have been arrested for assault, etc. And yes, there has been, very sadly, people who have taken that role, taken that responsibility, and taken advantage of innocent patients and innocent people. And for those of us, I was taken advantage of. I had a kidney stone, got sent to a doctor. The doctor has the nurse leave the room, has me completely undressed, doesn't give me a drape, and does a breast exam and vaginal exam on me. And I didn't realize, I was only 19 at the time, I didn't realize that wasn't supposed. I had never gone to a doctor except for a pediatrician years ago for an ear infection. So I didn't know better until I'm in medical school. And we had a professor up there guiding us through kidney stones and saying, all right, what else do you do with this patient? You have to do this. You got to order a UA. You have to order, 24-hour urine risk. You need to do this. You need to do this. And anything else? And I say, you forgot to do the breast exam and the pelvic exam. And you didn't check her vagina. You didn't check her inguinal nodes. And although, honestly, somebody could make an argument that if somebody is having pain that's going down to the groin, you need an exam like that. But they're looking at me going, what? I go, well, when I had a kidney stone, my doctor did that to me. And then, my friends at the back behind me were like, can you say assault? Can you say, do you know what happened to you? And that's when I learned that what that doctor did was not appropriate. No nurse in the room, no cover. That was ridiculous. Then I got mono, went to a physician, also decided to examine my breasts. Now, maybe they were being thorough, but when I kind of look back at it, not everybody gets the breast exam. And that really makes me mad. It makes me so mad that people took advantage. And it makes me even more mad that they were medical professionals. So as much as I want to, as a physician, tell patients, no, you're being paranoid. No, I've been a victim of assault by a physician, two of them, and I've seen and heard it happen. You're not wrong. However, you need to look at your nudity differently. And when you are having a medical procedure, you're not going to be able to have the utmost privacy. So it was interesting. When I had a hysterectomy, one of the nurses was a male. And when I was coming out of anesthesia and I was in the hospital room, they were going to have me there overnight, but I didn't really need to stay overnight. So I asked him, can I get my Foley out, the urinary catheter out? He removed it. And my husband was like, I was kind of shocked. There was a man did that bother you that he was, you were naked? And I was like, I just wanted the Foley out. I didn't care. He's a trained professional. Male nurses have always been amazing. No, didn't bother me at all. Now, I mean, in retrospect, I'm like, oh gosh, how many people in the city have seen me naked now? But they took care of me. That's what I look at. And so if you do watch these shows and people are naked and delivering a baby. Oh my gosh, everybody and their mother was in the room because they knew me and I was a doctor at that hospital. I'm like, can you guys leave? I'd like some privacy, please. I really don't want everybody here seeing my Lily. So I did want privacy when I was delivering babies, but also my baby was in distress. So all hands on deck to make sure my baby lives. And, nowadays everybody has, OnlyFans or wardrobe malfunctions or your zipper accidentally is down. I mean, I guess the older I get, the less embarrassed I am. Although I really wish that, I looked the way I did in my 20s, because then I would be, even less embarrassed. But yeah, it happens. So, not wanting to go to the ER because you are worried about, being naked and look, understand also it's a TV show. You're not going to necessarily be out in the open. It's not going to be, you will be in a room. They will have curtains and privacy. They will be, but it is a concern for people. We always want to make people feel like they have privacy and that we are respecting that. And, body odors. People are always afraid, well, what about body odors? Well, body odors are important for us clinicians to identify. Certain things have certain smells. Strep throat stinks. But I could diagnose you with strep across the room because we were trained on what that smells like. Cervical cancer. The only smell that ever almost made me pass out was a woman who had cervical cancer. She had never had a pap smear. She said her husband didn't want to sleep with her because she had a bad odor. When we put her in the stirrups and I was about to do a pelvic exam, her very first pelvic exam, she had rotting flesh of her cervix, and I almost passed out. I mean, and she apologized. I go, no, don't worry, it's me. I had a long shift. And I tried to apologize to her. I mean, there was nothing I could do, but it was necrotic. It was the only time I ever smelled that was when we were doing autopsies in medical school on bodies that had been rotting. It was horrible, and unfortunately, she died within weeks of that. Because the cancer was just too far gone. And I don't think her surgeons and oncologists could do anything at that point. So, we do our best. You want to have a primary care provider. You want to understand that, most people in the healthcare professionals, in the health care industry are vetted and they're there to do the best work. And these one-offs that you hear about in the news, are hopefully caught and not there when you need care. But get your life saved. Get the care you need. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.